Chapter 2 is called Nick's Luck. And there's the four-leaf clover. Nick Mack had a special friend, Ellie. Ellie Gold lived next door. Ellie had a dog called Newton. Nick and Ellie played with Newton all the time. Nick helped Ellie feed and walk Newton. He helped her wash and brush him. Ellie was very good at sharing Newton with Nick. There was another reason why Ellie was Nick's special friend. Ellie liked collecting things too. While Aunt Terry was at home helping Mum, Nick went round to Ellie's. Ellie and Newton were already at the door. "Hi, Nick," said Ellie. "Woof, woof, woof," said Newton. Nick reached into his pocket, then gave Newton a dog treat. He always had a dog treat for Newton. "My dad's taking us to the park," said Ellie, "but first Newton and I are going to practice some tricks. Want to help?" Ellie and Nick took turns throwing the special stick that Nick had found during one of their nature walks. Newton ran fast and jumped high and brought the stick back quickly. He did this a few times, then lay down by Ellie's feet. "Roll over, Newton," said Ellie. Newton rolled over. "Paw," said Ellie. Newton sat up and gave Ellie his paw. "Paw," said Nick. Newton gave Nick his paw as well. Then, because he loved to run, Nick ran up and down Ellie's garden. Newton ran up and down Ellie's garden too. Mr. Gold opened the door and said, "Are you ready, Ellie? Hello, Nick. Why don't you ask your mum if you can come to the park with us?" So Nick did, and he could. At the park, Newton did a lot of sniffing. He rolled in the grass. Other people were out with their dogs too. Mrs. Regent from the post office, and Johnny Smith and Mark Bergman from school. As they walked across the field, Nick said, "I found a four-leaf clover right here yesterday." "Really?" asked Ellie. "You must be very lucky," said Mr. Gold. "I've never found a four-leaf clover in my life. Have you made a wish?" "Oh, yes," said Nick. Nick was always wishing, and he always wished for the same thing. "I hope your wish comes true," said Mr. Gold. Suddenly, Newton saw a squirrel, and he was off. "Newton! Newton!" Ellie and Nick and Mr. Gold called, but Newton kept running. Then Nick had an idea. He reached into his pocket and held up a dog treat. "Newton!" he called very loudly. Newton turned. Newton looked, and Newton ran fast straight back to Nick. "See," said Ellie, "Newton thinks he's your dog too." On the way back to Ellie's, Nick found 3 elastic bands for his elastic band ball. It was going to be the biggest in the world. He found 2 feathers and an unusual looking stone. He would put them on his bookcase when he got home. Ellie found 4 acorns. She also found 2 small buttons and an old key. "I didn't know you liked keys," said Nick. "Neither did I," said Ellie, "but I collect them now." At home, Ellie and Nick gave Newton another dog treat, "even though he was a bit naughty," said Ellie, when they brushed Newton's fur until it was silky and soft. Afterwards, Nick said, "I better go now. Thanks for having me." Nick had lots to think about. He thought about Newton and Ellie, and how Ellie had said Newton thought he was Nick's dog too. He thought about them living next door. He thought about collecting things, and he also thought about friendship. "I am lucky," said Nick to himself. Then Nick Mack skipped back home.